the good, the bad, and the ugly of selling on Amazon FBA. That is our topic for today. I'm Megla in Singapore and I'm joined by Margaret in Australia. Hi, Margaret. How's it going?
Hello, how you going, Midla?
I'm doing well. But today's topic, Margaret, I think is very close to your heart because you work with so many different Amazon sellers, a lot of newbies. And when they come to you, maybe they've done another course or they've been sold this dream that, oh, Amazon is such an easy business and you'll be able to, make $1 million and be good for life in just a couple of months.
Definitely.
And so I know that makes you so mad, to hear all of these stories and for people to have these, false hopes.
Well, that's
So
it, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, today's webinar is all you, and
All right.
take it away.
I'll let you chop in too. So, yeah, look,
Yeah.
I'd just like to get started and say to people, look, this isn't putting Amazon down. Amazon can be a really lucrative business, but look, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It takes some business understanding. You've got to have quite a good computer skills, and you need an awful lot of patience to become a successful Amazon seller. It's not something for the faint-hearted. There is lots of stress, and I think if anyone watching is selling on Amazon, they know what I'm talking about. There's every day you'll find another issue. You just think, I'm going to have a smooth week, and some other little thing pops up to throw you into a bit of a stressful day or night. But I think what I'm finding is that a lot of people see an ad from, a couple of the gurus around that say, oh, look, sign up here, do my course, and in 3 months you'll be selling on Amazon, and you can make $1 million. You can give up your day job in 3 months and all this. It's not true. It just doesn't happen like that. It's a long haul. It'll take you at least, I would say, 3 to 6 months. Well, you've got to start doing a course, and there's a lot of content in any course, if it's a decent course, or you learn off YouTube. However you decide, there's ways and means to learn, but it's at least a 3 months, job to work your way through to find out what you've got to do with Amazon. So it's not something that you just pick up today and list on Amazon tomorrow. Look, Amazon, go on.
So Mark, sorry, I just wanted to ask you. So we get this question a lot from newbies. Is there a course that we can take, and how do we learn the step-by-step process? So do you want to tell people what your answer is for that?
Well, look, I believe, there are a couple of decent courses around out there, but they're in the, $5,000-$10,000 bracket. So it is a big outlay. So you need to be, and I'm not saying don't do them, but be very careful. There's a lot that I wouldn't recommend you do because the content isn't there, or the backup and the support. So you've got to be very careful. But look, at the moment, my suggestion, a lot of people come to me and I say to them, at the moment, look, and I'm not just plugging Helium 10 for any reason other than I think it's a great platform. And with Helium 10 software, there is a training course by Kevin King, who is one of the longest Amazon sellers on the planet. He was one of the first sellers, and he has written a great sort of course with a lot of content. It's been upgraded recently with Tim Jordan, one of our co-hosts on the India sourcing trip, or coaches, and Bradley Sutton. So there's really, really good information in that course. Now, if you outlay for Helium 10, which is $97 a month, you actually get the Freedom Ticket course with the software. So it's there forever. You can go back and refer to it. So you can go through it, first of all, get an idea, and then work through your modules as you go. So I think that then if you're still struggling, you can go, and there's a lot of coaches around that will just do one-on-ones. You might just need an hour. You might get stuck on, how do I do my shipping? How do I do something? So then you can just go and get a little bit of help without spending, $10,000, $20,000 up front for a course. And still, you've got to be motivated. If you're doing a course and it's a course where you've just got to read it, you've really got to get yourself into it. And it's no good just sitting there thinking, I'll skim through it. You've really got to be keen. You've got to be motivated. And you've got to spend a lot of time reading and rereading. And then you might, go onto the internet and research that point again. So it's something that takes a lot of time. But I don't suggest that you have to go to the very end of a course and then start. You might get halfway through it, but I think you need to know the basics of what is at the end, because you might decide you don't want to go that far, because there is a lot of things that are challenging and quite hard. So I think that's the way to, you know, to get yourself started is to, you know, and look, if people say to me, oh, I don't want to spend $97. If you don't want to spend $97 a month, you don't want to do Amazon, because $97 is a drop in the hat. I mean, that is nothing. And if you go and buy a, I don't know, Starbucks franchise, you know, they're $500,000 and you've got to have staff, you've got to, you know, pay leases. You're getting into a really good business model for virtually nothing. So if you're not prepared to spend $100 a month, you might as well walk away, because there's a lot more expenses to come than that, which we'll sort of go through. I just want to go through and show you all the little things that, you know, can come up and what the costs are. So I think probably, is Kevin joining? No, go ahead. Background noise. No, because you're not joining. It's all right. I thought he was coming in.
No, I can't see Kevin.
Okay.
So Alan is here saying, good to see you guys. Hi, Alan. How are you? Alison Cohen says, spot on, Margaret. BB Khan, hello, Margaret. I'm currently doing the Freedom Ticket course. Great, BB. Let us know how you find it. Okay, Margaret. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no, look, so I think realistically you need to sort of, you know, do your course, and it's going to take you at least from when you start the course and you get the basics, maybe 8 weeks, it's probably another 6 to 9 months before you're going to actually have a product live on Amazon. There are so many steps involved. It's not, you don't just think, oh, I like that, you know, wooden bowl, I'm going to stick that on Amazon and it's going to sell and I'm going to make, you know, money every month. It doesn't happen like that. You need to do a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of costings. There's a lot of steps in between. So what we'll try and do is, you know, go through some of the things. And I think you really need to learn a lot about Amazon itself and what's involved in every step. So look, it's not easy to find your first product and a product that will sell. I mean, you know, people get stuck on that stumbling block. I get so many people going, I can't find a product. There are millions of products out there, but it's finding a product that is going to make you money, and there's a lot of work involved in doing that. So you've got to spend a lot of time just doing your basic research on a product. So you need, once again, the software to do that, and that's one of the great tools in Helium 10. There's quite a few different ways you can do product research in there to test things that you find that you think will sell and see if they are going to be at least an option. I mean, there's no guarantee. Look, all the gurus, every one of us will say, I'll put my hands up. We've done products that we thought would work and they didn't. And I think I could list anybody who, I don't think even any of the big boys in town will all tell you that they've all had products that failed. So you've got to be prepared that one day you're going to have a failure, but it mightn't be a total failure. It just might not sell as much as you want. So, you know, you've got to be prepared for those things to happen. So finding that first product is very hard and pretty nerve-wracking for a lot of people. But I think, you know, some people just procrastinate and just aren't game enough to bite the bullet. And I think it gets to a point where you've got to go, okay, I'll just do this one and I'll see how it goes. It might work, and then I can build on that as a brand later. So I think finding your product is probably going to take you, you know, I know people have been finding a product for 18 months and they're still looking, but, you know, you should be able to do something if you put your mind to it in a couple of months and do some, you know, checks and balances. So then you probably, once you've done that, I think you need to, I keep getting a noise. Somebody's
Well, I just
in the background.
No, that was just me because I unmuted my microphone. So maybe that's why.
So yeah.
So I just wanted to ask you, I mean, for product research, like, what advice do you have for people when they launch their first product? Should they, you know, do a test order first to check if there is demand for that product, or
look, a test
should they just go all in?
I think the problem is the cost of doing a very small order. If you only do like 100 items, for instance, by the time you go through, the cost of the goods is not going to be cheap, because, you know, to get a supplier to make 100 or something, your boxing's not going to be cheap because most people don't do, you know, under 250 or 500 boxes. Your shipping is going to cost you, unless it's light and you can air freight it, your shipping alone, just the basic costs of shipping is about $700 or $800 before you actually put the goods into that shipment. So I tend to shy away from that. And then also, if you put 100 products in, you've got to run PPC. You're going to put a product in there and you're going to be on page 999. So the only way to get to page, you know, 1 or to page 7 to be seen in the first few search pages is PPC. So if you've only got 100 products and you start advertising and it's costing you $10, $20, $30 a day, before a month's up, you're going to be running behind the 8 ball, and you might have sold a few products, but you've lost more money than you can make. And then once you get out of stock, it's reorder, and that's going to take you maybe 3 months, 4 months to get back in stock. So you've basically got to start again. So all that advertising money has gone down the drain. I think if you're serious about this, you need to bite the bullet in and go into a business. Like, you know, you can't open a McDonald's and say, oh, well, I'm only going to have, 10 hamburgers on the menu. I'm not going to have the whole thing. You've got to, you're going into, this isn't a hobby. This is a real business, and you've really got to be prepared to be a businessman and sort of put your money where your mouth is. It's not something, oh, I only want to, spend a few $100s. I believe you need to be prepared to invest around $10,000 easily to get your first product going, and all you need to do to get that up and running. And so to get yourself set up, you need to have sufficient stock to launch your product. And then if it proves successful, you need to be able to order more stock. Now, Amazon don't pay all that fast. They sort of lag behind. So you probably almost, by the time you get the money from a sale today, it's about a month down the track. So you can't rely on getting that money back to pay your supplier for your next order. So I think you find that in itself means that you need a backup lot of money. Then you've got to do, once you get your products into Amazon, you definitely have to do some PPC. And I call it going to the casino, because it's just like putting money out and they suck it away from you very quickly and say to you, double or nothing, put some more on, you've run out of budget. So it's very, and when you're starting out, you want to get solid, you want to move. So you sort of go, oh, I'll spend a bit more. And look, I have people coming to me and they've spent more on PPC than they've paid for their first product in the first couple of weeks, because they get a bit carried away with PPC and wanting to sell and all that. So you've just got to be very careful. But, I mean, you do need quite a bit of money to do that launch, and maybe a giveaway. You might want to do a Vine program to get some reviews, which means you give products away through Amazon to people that Amazon recommend to get a review on. So all these things. So if you've only got 100 products, you're not going to sell. So I think, you really need to get a substantial, well, to me, I would say 300 minimum. But what I say to a lot of people is, if you're going to do 300 of something, if that's all, you're not that confident, do 300 of 2 products, because if you're going to sea ship, the difference in the cost of those extra 300 products is nearly the extra if you have to do a second shipment in 2 or 3 months of another $700 in charges. So I think, and that way then you're sort of giving yourself a double chance at getting something that really takes off. And if you can start building your brand, but look, it's up to everyone. Everyone has a different, spin on how they want to do it. But I think, that's the way you do it. Now, just another thing, this isn't something that you can do in 1 or 2 hours a week. If you decide, and I know lots and lots of people are working, got families, it's not something you do in 1 or 2 hours a week. It's not even something you do in 1 or 2 hours a day. I think if you find anyone who's got a family who's trying to do this and working, they're probably putting the kids to bed at 8 and they're up until 1 in the morning. I have a lot of people who do that. It's a lot of hard work to get yourself up and running. So you've also got to be prepared to give a lot of time, a lot of your weekends. It's not going to happen just if you're just doing 1 or 2 hours, a week on this, or, even an hour a day. It's just not enough. So you've got to be prepared to do probably a year, if you're working full time, of really hard yards. So, you've just got to think, is this for me? Do I really want to take this on? Then I think, look, there's a lot of decisions when you start with Amazon. So you've got to say to yourself, I'm going into this, I'm going into a business. So do I need a company? So you'd need to talk to your accountant, decide what sort of, do you want a company structure? How are you going to set all that up? You've got to decide, are you going to be branded? How are you going to have a brand name? You've got to decide on a logo. You've got to trademark that brand. You probably need a website. You've got to go and set up all business bank accounts. You need a virtual bank account to deal with overseas currencies. Unless you live in America, you're going to have a virtual bank account to transact all the money to your suppliers and back from Amazon. So there's a lot of those sort of decisions before you even get started. So you need to sort of probably go and, see your accountant and sort out how you're going to do this, because if you're serious about it, you don't want to be going, oh, well, it probably won't work, so I don't want to do any of that. Yeah, if you're not positive about it, it probably won't work. You've really got to be, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it work, and you've got to put, some money out there and do all this. And I mean, setting up a company, your trademarking, all that could be $4,000 or $5,000 before you even, blink. And you've got, logo design, depend where you go to get all those things done, a website. So all that's money that you've got to outlay before you even start ordering that product. Then if you do a product, you've got quite a bit of money, to tie up in that as well.
Yeah. And for logos and websites, I mean, some people can DIY that as well, but if you don't want to spend the money, it will take time. You can do it yourself. If you do have the technical skills, you can set
Yeah.
up a free WordPress website and, design a logo in Canva and all that, but still it'll take more time for you
Yeah,
to do all of that.
and you've really got to have the skill. And I mean, you don't want to do something that's not professional. If you're setting yourself up to be, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars seller down the track, you don't want to have this crummy little logo that you drew with your pen or something. You want to look the part. You want to go into this. And look, I think Amazon are turning people into this. People don't want mums and dads just plodding away in the background. They want business-minded people that look professional, and sellers that look, professional on their site. So I think it's important to set yourself up so you do, look like, you belong, and have, company registrations and names. So when people are looking, it's not just, Marg's website and Marg's, company name or something. You've got to have something really sort of that looks like you are, in business. So I think that you need to get, all those things in place, and then obviously you've got to go and do your product selection. Once you've got all that done, you then start to need to look for a supplier. Now, depending on what your product is that you're looking for, we have, through the India sourcing trip, got a lot of vetted suppliers in a lot of the products that are available in India. So that's one way you can find a supplier. It's not easy, because you want to find someone that you can trust, that you can build a relationship, because it's all about not just, you don't want to be just doing one order and not getting on with the person. You want to find someone who's going to work with you and be a partner with you long term. Look, we have a fantastic relationship with our supplier. We've been with them 4 years, and we consider them like part of our family. I mean, we talk to them on birthdays and Christmas and all other things. It's not just a business relationship. And I think that way you get looked after, and you do get a lot better service for for your products and things like that. So and look, you've got to also learn, if you've never dealt with before, start dealing with overseas countries. Overseas suppliers have different rules. How do I pay them? NNN agreements. So there's lots of things. So you've got to be I suppose, confident enough, and to, I say to people, jump online and talk to your supplier. So, you don't want to sort of get on there and go, oh, I don't know what I should be doing. You need to be, I'm a business lady here, and I want you to make this for me. So it's no good going on and just sort of, you've got to be prepared to be the business person and make sure that, you're sort of presenting yourself as a business owner, because I think that's what you are. It's not your hobby, it's your business. So I think once you need to sort of do your due diligence and research on what price you might find a product. You might think it's going to work. And I don't know, just say you find it and it's selling for $20 on Amazon, and then you go to your supplier and he says, oh, that's going to cost $10 to make. Well, guess what? It's not viable. So you've got to really have in mind, I think, when you start to talk to your supplier, that looking on Amazon, they were all selling around the $40 mark. Can I sell around $40? Can I get a product that's as good as those products or better, that I can compete with in that particular niche? So then I tend to sort of say to the supplier, look, I need something. I can only pay about $10 or something. I know my costs because I've been doing it a bit longer. So I would sort of say to him, look, if it's much more than $10, this isn't going to work for me, because I cannot get enough money off the sort of Amazon site to pay for that, because there's a lot of competition. So I think you've really got to make sure that when you're looking for a product, that it's not going to cost you $20 and you can only sell it for $30. To me, there's lots of stories out there. People say 10 times, 20 times, all sorts of things. I don't particularly like really low cost products for $2 or $3 that you sell for $15 or $20, because there's so many costs in Amazon that it's very hard to make any sort of profit. I tend to go for things that are from $10 up that I can sell from $40 up, because then at least I've got a lot more movement. If something goes wrong, or if costs change, if something happens, that I'm sort of still making money. And if, because you need a fair bit of money for your PPC as well. So I think you've just got to, and all these things take time. So, just researching the product, then you talk to your supplier, and then he comes back and it's too expensive. So you're back to square one. Do I go on? Do I start again? So, you sometimes even might need to be looking at a couple of different products to start with. It's no good thinking, I love that, and that's what I'm going to sell. It's no good just you liking it, and it's because a lot of people come to me and say, oh, this is really pretty and it's like pink and blue, and I go, yeah, but you've got such a narrow market. Does everyone want that in pink and blue? You've got to think there's a whole world out there. You've got to try and find things that are wanted by a broader audience. If you narrow something down and niche it down to really, really a narrow and a particular look or something, it makes it harder to get a lot more sales. You'll sell a lot less because there's not such a demand. So, and if you go too unique, I think you've got to be careful. A lot of people say, oh, I've got this and it's nobody's selling it at all. And I sort of go, oh, that worries me, because if nobody's selling it, how are you going to sell it? How are people going to find it? So that product needs to be somewhere on Amazon. So, say a lamp. Okay, lamps are on Amazon, so that's, you could sell it, but then don't go into a really narrow niche with, maybe, I don't know, pink elephants all over it or something, because not everyone's going to want those. So you've got to sort of try and maybe go for white or silver or something. So just because you like it, you've got to think, does the whole world like it? And I find it here, because we're in Australia, Americans' tastes are totally different to mine. We have different things in our stores, and I watch a lot of American TV shows just to sit and watch what they put in their decor and things. And so I think, it's all part of the learning process. What's being sold, what's, going to Pinterest, going to Etsy, see what's selling around the world. Don't just live in your little, retail sub, whichever country you live in the world. You need to really find what is in the marketplace you're aiming at and get those products. So I think that's a really big test. So is we right? Nobody else wants any questions there? We've got nothing. No.
Any questions from anyone? Type them in the comments. Let me just see. So I think this is Bill and Mary. So they're asking, how do you handle removals? Just get Amazon to destroy it, or back to your 3PL?
I would take it back to my 3PL because I never know whether it's going to get destroyed. I prefer to know it's gone back to my 3PL, and it's 30 cents difference or something. I think it's 30 cents for them to destroy it and 60 cents to get it back to your 3PL, because you might find when it gets back to your 3PL, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I know, and I hear a lot of stories that sometimes, we actually put a shipment in not long ago, and all of a sudden they all went in a carton, and all of a sudden they're all defective, 5 of them, because we had no stock, we'd actually run out. But why? How would they be defective? They wouldn't have opened every box because they're sealed to see what's inside. So somebody's lazy and decided to just mark them defective, and we've got to remove them. So when they go to our 3PL, we'll probably be able to send them back, because I doubt if there's anything wrong with them. So, and you can't check. It's really hard to know what's going on with your product. I think at least if you get it sent back to a 3PL, you can then actually get them to check it, send you a photo of it, and have you got a problem? Is it just been damaged by the customer? What is the real issue here? Because, you might have some fault that you don't know about. And if you get them back, if you just get them all destroyed, you're never going to find out what the problem is. So I think it's worth it. Probably is a little bit more costly. But then again, if you can resell, or put back in some of them, you're going to sort of, make a little bit of money that way. So I think that's the best.
Keith is saying, love that Amazon PPC like a casino.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to the casino, and I hate casinos. And I feel like I'm going there every morning. So, and now look, go on.
Yeah, I was just reminding people not to promote their services here. I see a comment of somebody promoting their e-commerce services. Please do not promote your services. I'm going to delete that comment. Okay, keep going, Mark.
Okay, right. Now, I think, so once you've sort of got to your product selection, you've found a supplier, you're working on your cost, you need to go and open your Amazon account. Now, that can be a task in itself. They need a lot of information, a lot of paperwork, depending which country you're from, your electricity bill, and it's got to match. And I'm not kidding. If you have ST at the end of your address in smalls and it's ST on another bill in capitals, they won't accept it. Like, it is craziness. So that can be quite a challenge just to try and get your Amazon account open. So I think if you can get through that step, you do pretty well. And then look, once you've got that open, it's then you're ready to go. So you need to order the product. So you'll need to probably do an NNN agreement with your supplier, do a purchase order with your supplier. So this is what I'm saying. It's, you need to be a little bit business savvy, because you're into business now. So you've got all these things now. You're not just running, you know, a manager in a shop or something where you've got one little task. You're the person that's got to do all this. So you've got to know about NNN agreements. You've got to know how to do a purchase order. So there's a lot of things you need to learn as you go along here. Now, there's quite a lot of this help on the internet, and we've got different forms in the India sourcing sort of site. In the files, if you go and look, there's NNN agreements and all those things there. So you need to do that. Then you've got to organise your shipping. So we're lucky we've got Sea Air, who are fantastic and can help you with that. But once again, you've got to understand what you need to do. You've got to understand, and somebody might, oh, actually, I'll stop here. I can see a question. What's in an agreement? It's an agreement of, I suppose, confidentiality, and would you say confident? What's the best way to describe an NN? Probably confidentiality.
Yeah, so it's non-compete, non-disclosure, and non-circumvent. Those are
Oh,
the
there you
three
go.
N's. So basically, you're telling your supplier that they can't copy your product, they can't share your product with anybody else, and they cannot circumvent. How does that translate? Yeah, but basically,
I
it's an
don't know.
agreement with your supplier that they cannot share your product ideas with anybody else. And if you do have a unique idea or a very unique product, then you should sign an agreement with your supplier.
Okay, so once you've sort of done that, then you go on to your shipping. So you need to know, and I'll just go over this because a lot of people don't understand. So what happens is you get your product made in its gift box or its packaging box or whatever. Then to send it into Amazon, it'll get put in 8, 10, 12, depending on the size, into a shipping carton. And those shipping cartons will then go over on the boat or by plane to America from India, if you're dealing with India, and into either Amazon or into a 3PL warehouse. So you've got to make sure that you know the sizes of the shipping cartons. Luckily, most of our approved suppliers are already selling or helping Amazon suppliers purchases with their goods, so they should know that. But you need to give directions. You need to show them what sort of shipping carton you want to use. It must be thick, obviously. So it's very, and that's why we always say make sure you know your supplier is a export supplier. If you use a local supplier, they're used to probably putting goods in very thin boxes and just dropping them off around the corner. It's got to go through a lot of rigorous on and off boats and in containers, out of containers, into Amazon at the other end. So it needs to be a pretty solid thing. So you've got to organise that. Then you need to, at the moment, it's very confusing for new people, but Amazon have changed the rules on us very quickly at the moment. And most of us can only put in 200 or 300, depending on how much volume you're selling in the last few months of products into Amazon. So a lot of times you'll need to put it into what we call a 3PL warehouse. Now, what a 3PL warehouse is basically a third-party logistic warehouse. So you would, instead of sending your goods directly into Amazon, you would ship them into a 3PL warehouse in America, and then what I call drip feed, just a couple of hundred products at a time or whatever you can get in with your storage limits into Amazon. So you've got to find one of those. But once again, they're in our group. They're all listed in our group. We've got warehouses in the group for us. Then you've got to start to learn how to write your listing. So you've got to do a lot of research on how a listing should look. Look at all the listings that are around you. Don't copy them, but take some ideas and do a pretty compelling headline full of keywords that are going to get you your product to sell. And you should have found those keywords when you were doing your product research, because if you do that properly, you basically can write your listing if you keep that information, because the keywords you find that are really top keywords, you are going to use those in your listing so it's optimized. So when people search for it, the keywords that there's the most searches for, you will, put that into your headline. So look, you don't have to be a novelist to write your listing. It's more not keyword stuffed, but it doesn't have to be the best grammatically sounding thing. It's more getting as many of the keyword phrases into it as you can, but it's still got to read sensibly. So you can't just put word after word, but it's an art in itself. So that's something you need to learn to do. Then you've got to do all the back end keywords, and there's so many fields in the back end that need filling out. So you've got to spend a lot of time going through filling all that out. Then there's A+ content. If you get your brand registered, you can then have, instead of having just a terrible little product description on your Amazon sort of site on your product, you can actually have what they call A+ content. And you can have pictures, you can have stories of your product, stories of your brand, and it looks, and if you go onto Amazon and scroll down one that's got brand registry and one that hasn't, it looks so much better having that enhanced brand content. You look like you're a real seller because you can have some fantastic pictures in there, but you can do that yourself. Look, I'm not a computer genius by any stroke, and I do all this myself because I like to, number one, know what I'm putting in there. And I find it's a bit of a challenge, but it's good because you can pay someone thousands of dollars to do all this work for you. It's eating into my profit. And I think once you do it once, you'll find that it's not that challenging, it's all things, it's all part of running your business. You also then can have a storefront, which is fantastic. I believe that everyone should have a storefront. So you might initially only have one product in your storefront, but as your brand grows, you can have 10 products or something, and you can interlink. So all those products, people can click on your storefront and see everything you sell. So you might sell, and we have a lot of products that cross sell, and sometimes we'll get an order for 3 or 4 different products because people have gone into my storefront and actually bought through my storefront. So they'll buy not one product, but 3 or 4. Now we get quite a lot of our sales through it, and that costs nothing because once I've set it up, it's there for life. So it's a bit of time to get it up and running, but I think it's really good, and it all helps. But they're all things that, this is all part of this Amazon journey, and you still haven't got your product live. We're still working through getting to the live bit. And look, you can pay. Look, there's a lot of people who will do these things for you. Writing your listing, I believe you need to learn to do yourself, because if someone writes it for you and you don't know how they've done it, you will probably want to change it. In the first month, you might find that you're getting shown for other keywords that you didn't think of, that you didn't have in your listing, that you're getting a lot of sales on some other particular keyword that's got really nothing that you even thought had anything to do with your product, but people are buying from it. So you might want to rewrite a lot of your headline, change some of it around, change some of your back-end keywords, things like that. So if you don't know how to do all this, you're back to square one, and you'll end up paying out more and more money for people to upgrade it all the time. So I think even if down the track you want to get a VA or pay someone on, Fiverr or someone to do these things for you, you can, but you need to know how it needs to look. You need to know how it needs to be done, because how can you check if they're doing it right? If you just, sort of go off and go do it and you don't understand the workings of it. So I think it's very important that you sort of do all that. So then you've also got images. Now, they're probably one of the most important things on Amazon, is to have really great images with great infographics. If you are a pretty hotshot photographer and good at infographics, you can do that, and you can do the writing in Canva, but you need a good image to start with. So it's either outsource that and have it done professionally, or have a go at it yourself, but be careful that it still looks really great. And once again, we've got some reasonably priced photographers in our group who can help you do that. So there's a lot of help within our system already. We've found sort of people that are sort of fairly cost effective, but look, you can pay professionals out there. I know some in the States that charge $2,000 to do just photos for one product. Just be careful. You can get something that's, a little bit cheaper than that, but it's up to you. It depends where you want to go and how much you want to spend. But you've just got to be careful. All these things are got to come out of your profit. So, you know, you're going to end up not having much profit left if you spend too much money on all these things, but they are very important. Now, also videos. Amazon now allow you to have videos on your pages. So you can do advertising through videos once you're brand registered. So that's another thing that you need to either try and do yourself, learn how to do them yourself, or pay someone to do them. So, you know, this is just getting your listing ready to go live. So you're going to do all that and have everything done. Then I think at that point your goods should be on the water. You've got your listing, you're working on it, you're writing out your listing, your back end, and all those things. And then you've really got to learn how to navigate Seller Central. It's rather difficult. I've spent hours with people just showing them every little, well, not every little look, the most important pieces they need to find every day to check, you know, their sales, where their money's going, where their returns are, how much their advertising's costing them, and all those things. So you need to understand all that as well. And that's not simple. It takes a lot of time, and you need to go in and out of all the little pieces and find the puzzle, because it's quite a puzzle, and it changes. You know, in 4 years that we've been selling on Amazon, I don't think anything looks the same as it did. The back end, the front end, they just keep changing everything constantly. So you really need to get.
Should we take this question
All
from
right.
Gail?
Yep.
So if you have brand registry for one class of product and then diversify into another, does your brand then retain brand registry regardless of product class, or do you need to apply for each
Actually,
product
interesting.
class?
I've just found out myself, when you're trademarked, you can have one class. You actually register one class to get your trademark, and that has to be live up on Amazon. So if I'm going to sell a wooden salad bowl, I need to trademark wooden salad bowl at the start to get that trademark fit my Amazon, because when the trademark office go to check my listing, which is like 9 months after you apply for your actual trademark, you have to be selling live on a website or on Amazon. It can be on eBay somewhere with that product to actually get your trademark. So you can do that. But what I've discovered this week, and I didn't know this, and I don't know whether it's very common knowledge, is that when you get your brand registry, you can we've got about 10 different niches in brand registry and not any problems, but now I've actually introduced a product that is in a different category. And they've said to me, I've got EBC, I can have it in my storefront, but I can't actually link my brand back to, so when it says your storefront, it won't link back to my storefront because it's in a different category. And there's no way known, even if I can't apply to add that. Even if I go and trademark that, I cannot add that, they've told me. So there's no way known. So if you start off when you do it, so maybe you're selling, I don't know, medical bags and clothes and, I don't know, home decor, that's okay. But if then you come along and want to sell supplements, you wouldn't be able to under that brand. You can sell them, but you can't. It's basically link it to your storefront and use it for sponsored brand ads. So, and I couldn't get mine to work, and I lodged a case, and they came back and said, it doesn't matter what you do, this is set from day one, and you can't change it. So I think it's something that I've never heard of, but so I'm wondering if when you start to, because I can't remember, so it was so long ago that we set up our brands, we obviously put in quite a few different categories, but not all of them, because the one that we want now we can't get. So that's just something that I've come across. And so it's only if you really go to a really different category. So if you stay in home and kitchen, or you stay in patio, lawns and garden, or you stay in pet supplies, or you stay in medical or beauty, that's fine. But if you want to add one of those that you didn't tell them about when you first applied, you can't move, which, yeah, I find. But I've got the email and I've kept it because I thought it was quite interesting. So that's just something that I've learned. And I mean, I can't see the point in following it up because they were quite strong in their wording that this cannot be changed ever. basically.
Wow.
So don't write back. Don't we don't want to hear from you again. So yeah, so I think
But
yeah.
Tanya's asking, is there a course or mentoring you offer? Please provide me info.
Don't actually do a course. I do some one-on-one mentoring. We don't actually. A course is pretty full on. I think for anyone to do a full-on course, you need to get one of the bigger courses. But the Freedom Ticket course that we've been talking about is great to start with, I think, and then do some mentoring as you get further on down the track. So I think
Yeah,
that's
and
probably.
just real quick, sorry. So this is Margaret's email address, Tanya, in case you want to reach out to her and ask her about her one-on-one coaching. Okay,
Okay,
keep going.
right. So now you've got your product arrives in Amazon and you go, I remember first product we went, oh my God, we're live. How easy was that? Yeah, hello. that is so easy. If you think you've had challenges getting, your box designed and your box die lines and your photography and selecting your product and dealing with suppliers, that's really easy. Once you go live on Amazon, you've got I call it the PPC beast to deal with. So you've got to, find all your keywords and do a lot of work. And PPC is not easy. It's not something you can learn in 5 minutes, and it's going to take you, and you're probably going to lose a lot of money in your starting up of it because, do you do exact, do you do broad, and everyone tells you something different, and there's so many different people selling PPC software, but they charge a lot for it. To manage your PPC, it can be $500-$600 a month, and then it's like they'll spend big budget. They don't spend $10 a day. They spend, $500 or $600. So you've got to be, I think, start off doing it yourself. When you've only got one product, you probably can't. So it's a little bit of a trial and error and a bit of a work through. And you'll probably find with your first product to get it live, and because you're learning that you'll spend a lot more than you really need to on PPC, but you sort of start to learn. And look, as you go along, you can ask other people, and you'll find something I probably haven't said is, I believe, don't try and do this on your own. If you're just going to think, I can just sit at home by myself and do all this, you need to get yourself into a mastermind. You need to, mingle with other people. Our life is Amazon people. We sort of, deal with a lot of people with Amazon, and you talk about it and you learn. And look, there's so many webinars on Megla's an expert. Megla does a webinar every day on something. You've just got to listen to all Megla's webinars. But there's so much information out there that you can learn a lot of things, but I always believe that we've gone back to university and done a degree to get through Amazon, because there's so much involved from A to B to C to the end of it. It's probably bigger than a university degree because you've had to do so many different challenging things. So look, as well as your PPC, so that's people say to me, oh, can I stop advertising after the first month? No. Unless you've got a really, really fantastic product that doesn't need any advertising at all, you'll probably find you'll always run, maybe a lesser PPC campaign, try and get some other keywords. But I don't think, you very often just don't run PPC at all on Amazon because, you usually are spending some money. So there needs to be some PPC budget when you're doing your costings. Now, I've actually been doing Monday Musings, and I've done a lot of this information. If you go back through the Monday Musings, I have put a lot of this information about costings of setting up all the different things in there. So if you follow back through those, there's a lot of that information. I'm not going to go into all that because we'll be here all night.
Just real quick to tell people, in case you're not familiar with how to find Monday Musings in the group. So once you're in the India Sourcing Facebook group, look for the section titled Topics. And under Topics, one of the topics is Monday Musings. So if you click on that topic, Monday Musings, you'll be able to see all of Marg's Monday Musings posts. And there are also topics for other things like this. So all of the Virtual India Sourcing Show episodes, all of the Showcase Saturday episodes are there. So look for the section Topics in the Facebook group. Okay, Mark, there's one question from Carol. Actually, it's a comment. Thank you for being honest about setting up an Amazon business. The reality of selling online is not discussed enough for people starting up, and many of us have been totally overwhelmed with all the steps involved.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing this today, because I get so cross when these blooming gurus come across my Facebook page going, oh, just sign up here and in 2 months' time you can be, selling on Amazon and you'll be able to be a millionaire and you can give up your day job and it'll only take 2 or 3 months. I mean, it's rubbish. It's 9 months before you're even going to have a product live, in all honesty. And I mean, anyone who thinks they can do it quicker, it's not real. It's, and look, there's a lot of people I could probably say have signed up for Amazon. I think there'd be more people I know who signed up for Amazon who are no longer doing it than those that are still doing it. So it is something that people get into because of all this marketing and then find out it's not for them. And that's why I'm trying not to be negative and put people off Amazon. I'm just trying to point out to you that it isn't an easy ride and you have to be an expert at everything, because it's your business and it's online, and unless you've got a lot of products and can employ staff to do a lot of this for you, it's your baby. You're in control of it. So you've got to be able to pick up and do whatever. So I think once you get going back onto this, you get your products in Amazon, you start your PPC, then you've got to start doing like stock control. Have I got enough stock? So you've got to watch your stock. You've got, do I need to reorder? How much do I reorder? Is it coming up to a summer period? Is my product going to be, sold in winter? Is it going to be sold more in summer? So you've got to forecast. So you've got to become a bit of a forecaster of stock, and work out, how much you're going to order the next time. And hopefully, you might have ordered 500 and the next time you can sort of slowly start to scale and you might be able to order 1,000. But in saying that, you've got to also think, do you want to keep putting money into this or do you want to scale more slowly? So it depends on your financial situation. Like some people, might have $50,000 to do for their first few products and are happy to, get 2 or 3 products and scale quickly. Others want to just wait and take the profit and move slowly. There's nothing wrong with either way, but if you're only doing one and you're waiting on your profits, it's going to take you a long time. Look, I don't think too many people would have made very much money out of their first product, and it's probably taken them 12 months to get there. So don't think that, in 12 months you're going to be, buying your first Porsche and going and living on a deserted island. Unless you, it's like winning tax lotto. Unless you win tax lotto, I don't think it's going to happen. Look, you get the odd person that gets a really successful product, and, there are people that have done it, but they're few and far between. There is a lot more failures than there are those success stories that you read about. And when you read stories that people say, I sold this amount, that's all they've done. They've sold. They haven't made profit. I don't care if people say to me, I've sold $1 million, but how much did you make? Because some of those people have made nothing. I know for a fact. I actually, have seen stories of people who have, sold $500,000 worth of stock in their first year, but when they go to their accountant, they've lost money on the first year because they've spent so much money on advertising and marketing and all the things that you can. There's so many things you can, buy this tool and that tool, and before you know it, you've spent all your profit plus. So I think you've got to take it easy. But look, every situation's different, but I wouldn't say to anybody, sign up to Amazon and give up your day job and do it full time, unless you've got, a fairly big bank account that's going to keep you in the life you're accustomed for a couple of years, because you're not going to be able to get that money out that quickly unless, you've got a lot of capital to do it. 1 or 2 products isn't going to make you enough money in the first sort of 6 months to start living off your business. So I think it's, everyone's going to have a different situation and a different story, but, please don't think that you're going to be making money overnight out of this, because it just doesn't happen. So I think that's something that, a lot of people see this as, it's a way out of, I can retire in 5 years and sit on the beach. Not really. And there is a lot of work involved. Like even now with your products is something, even I think if you've got, 2 or 3 products going, you don't just need an hour a day. There's a lot of checking. You need to be on top of your whole business. By the time you do all your paperwork, you've still got accounting stuff to do, as well as your stock control, keeping control of your business. You get customer inquiries, you'll get, Amazon will find an issue or somebody will complain about a product. There's always something to do. It just doesn't mean that because you've got a product live, you can sit back and forget about it. It's something I get up every morning. The first thing I do is turn on my computer at 6:30 and sit here for half an hour going through my whole account, checking what's happened and making sure everything's right before I start my day. And then I still work on it during the day. So it's not something that you just stick some stock in there and go away for 6 months, and when it runs out, you refill it. It's not
Yeah.
that easy. I wish it was. But look,
Then you've got to optimize
well,
you
that's
have
it.
to keep optimizing your PPC and your listings and everything, right, on an ongoing basis.
It's an ongoing basis. But look, in saying all this, give me e-commerce doing Amazon over a we've had bricks and mortar businesses. You work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, or sometimes 7 days a week. If you've got a franchise of something, you can't really go on holidays. Who's going to mind your business? With this, you can take your laptop. You can do it from basically anywhere. As long as you've got the internet and your laptop, you should be able to run your business from anywhere. So you can go on holidays, and we take our laptop, and you still probably do 1 or 2 hours a day, but you can sort of just think, I'll just be a little bit sort of slower on my business this week because I'm away. But I think compared to doing sort of any sort of business where you've got to lease, say a shop, you've got to stock it. Just think if you bought a homeware shop, how much stock. I walk past these shops now and go, oh my God, how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars are sitting in this house shop or this homeware shop, and how much of that aren't they going to sell? Like, you only need one product that you have to find and put up. They've got thousands. They have to pay a lease. They have to pay legal fees. There's shop fit outs, could be $100,000 in some shopping centres. They might tell you every 12 months, we need you to outfit the shop, another 100,000. That doesn't happen. You sort of, even though this sounds like it's hard and it's costly, it's very economical to get into compared to doing any sort of, I think, business that's sort of in a bricks and mortar shopping centre or something like that. Those sort of businesses need a lot of money, and if you need staff, so you might open a shop, so you've got to go and stock it, you've got to pay all your leases and your costs up front for months in advance, then you've got to have half a dozen staff standing there on wages, you've got to advertise, $500,000 has gone before you even blink, and you probably won't even get a cent back in that for 2 years. I've done a lot of work for business profiles for a lot of franchises, and I've seen the figures, and it's horrific. Whereas with this, if you're careful, you can start off with your $10,000, grow and slowly scale yourself up. It might take you a couple of years, but you can slowly do it. But I think look, and anyone can do it, but you've got to apply yourself. You've got to be prepared to learn. You've got to be prepared to learn a lot of probably computer things you don't know already. Unless you're younger, I think the younger ones probably watching are a lot better off because they're probably grown up with a computer, whereas us older ones are struggle a bit more because there's so many new challenges. But I think, you need to be analytical. You've also got to be, a bit creative. You've got to, work out, your box design. You've got to have some ideas of where you want to be. What do you want to do? And you've got to be motivated. If you're someone who can't motivate themselves, you're going to find it very hard because you can't get up and think, I can't be bothered doing Amazon today. It'll wait till tomorrow. It won't. So you do have to be motivated, and I think that's where you need to get yourself into a group, find some other people to keep you, I suppose, on track all the time. And look, I think the biggest thing is if you fail, the first product fails or your second product fails, you've got to get back on that bike and ride it again. It's no good going, that failed, I'll give up. I think you've got to then find another product and you've probably learned a lot of mistakes in the first time, things you did wrong, so the next time you should be better at it. But look, there's no guarantee. You can look at a product, you can look at the figures, and you can go live with it, and for some reason it just doesn't take off. It's not that you've done anything wrong. Sometimes it's just that it's not suiting the market, or there's some competition come up in the meantime. So there's lots of reasons. But look, I think all in all, we've got a great life out of Amazon. We've met so many thousands of people through it, and it is a lot easier than working 9 to 5 because you can do it from home. I don't do it in my pajamas, but I know plenty of people that do.
So this is Jida. We can't see your name, but it's Pang Jida from Singapore. I listen to you, Marg, more than my mom. Hard truths, and also thanks to this, I found my first successful product.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. That's really good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no. So I think that's probably, my main. What else have you got to add to all this, Megla? Probably.
Yeah, I think you covered everything so much so well, and this is what we see so often, right? I mean, so many people reach out to you and to me and they say, hey, we've been doing this, it's not working, does Amazon really work? And they kind of get frustrated with the whole process because it takes a lot of patience. So Margaret, what are some of the characteristics that people, or what sort of personality do people need to have, so or I guess not personality, but traits, so patience. You have to be
Well,
patient.
I
You
think
have
you
to
have
have,
to be, yeah. And look,
yeah,
you have to be able to roll with punches. Look,
yeah.
this year for every Amazon seller, Amazon has thrown so many roller coasters at us for the whole year. For those that are selling live will know what I'm talking about, but it has just been not only COVID, but the ramifications of what Amazon has done because of COVID. And it's just been like, you just have to roll with the punches every day and something else changes. And I know Megla messaged me before because Amazon have changed another thing about the shipping and how you can only do a shipping plan up to 90 days. So that makes it harder to work out where your goods are going to go. But look, there's ways around it. You've just got to go, okay, I'll find another way around that and circumvent it. And I think, so you've got to be, I suppose, not set in stone with everything. You've got to be able to move with the punches. So pivot to the left, pivot to the right. Whatever they throw at you, you've got to be able to do. And look, you might have trouble getting your account open. I know so many people that have struggled to get their Amazon account open, or they get it open and in a month Amazon close it and say, oh, we need all that paperwork again. It's a matter of, okay, they've done it to me. I can whinge and bitch. It's not going to change. I've got to get up and I've got to do what they say and move forward. It's the only way. So I think, you've got to be fairly resilient. It's not for the faint-hearted. If you can't handle a bit of stress in your life, it's probably not for you. Because, I was talking to a girl yesterday and she said, oh, I've been so stressed about this all week, I haven't slept. And that's what happens, because something will go wrong. And, it's not that easy. Amazon, I suppose, don't give their sellers a lot of respect. They give their buyers, they think their buyers are the main thing. So anything a buyer wants, they'll, sort of do for them. When it becomes a seller, they treat you, I think, pretty dismally. And I've sent them back a couple of surveys this week to tell them that, because they asked me what I thought. So they found out. So I've probably got a black mark against my name after this week. But I think, I think, well, look, they've got probably, I'd hate to think how many people apply for an Amazon account every day. So if I pull out, they don't care. They've got another 100,000 knocking at their door, waiting and waiting and waiting. So I think, but I think at the end of the day, though, you've really got to be professional with them. You've got to look like you're a professional business. It's no good just sort of ringing up and saying, I've never done this before, and it's only my little product, and I only do this part-time. They won't care. I mean, you want to portray that you are a big businessman. I mean, we always, even look, talking to suppliers, you should, when we first started out, we'd sort of say, oh, look, we just need to have a directors meeting about that. We'll come back to you. I mean, don't let them think it's just you. You've got to be, a bit more, I'm in charge of this, and I'm the boss, and I'm assertive, not sort of really shy and in the background, because, that's what a business owner is. To succeed, you've got to be able to look after yourself, because nobody else is there to do it. You're the one in charge. It's not like you're working anymore for an employee and you're just a little person on that payroll. You're it. You're everything. So I think if you don't think that that's for you, maybe then Amazon isn't for you. And look, I've seen so many people throw $10,000 down the drain plus on signing up, doing all this stuff, and then going, oh, I don't think this is me, and don't even get the first product live. So I think you need to give it a lot of thought, and that was why I sort of said to Meg, I'd like to do this story and just let people know that it's not selling the dream. It's not a dream. It's hard work, but it is great, and it's very lucrative. And look, I know people that have done extremely, extremely well out of this. And it doesn't mean to say you have to be a big business guru. You can be just an everyday person, but you've got to apply yourself and work hard at it, and, work day and night and study and learn things. Like the internet is, if I want to know something about how does this happen on Amazon, if I can't find it, I Google it, you'll find an answer. Google is your friend in this. I mean, people post questions all the time and I go, just Google it. It's so easy. I mean, it's there. All these things, like people will say, what's the box sizes on Amazon? You don't have to go into Amazon. Google box sizes for Amazon, and hey, guess what? They all come up. There's so much information that you can just get by Googling, so you can teach yourself. So it's quite easy.
Right. And Kevin, and Kevin is also saying that flexible. You've got to be flexible as well when you're doing your Amazon business. So Keith, where is the good? So Marg, I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to share my screen over here and show a screenshot that was shared in one of the Facebook groups a couple of days ago by Darren.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to show the good bits over here. So this is the good bit. I mean, this is a real account. And, Darren from Australia, who's Margaret's really good friend, he posted this in one of the groups. And this is what they're doing. This is one of their brands, their new brands. Of course, they've been doing this for quite a while now, right? I mean, quite a few years, Marg, right?
7 years, but this is a new brand they've launched, and they've done this very well. And, I'm not, they weren't big business people before. They didn't have any e-commerce experience. They started doing this just as probably most of you are, thinking I'll do this and make a small income, and they have done extremely well. They've already sold one brand, and this is a new brand they're doing. So so it is possible, but they've put a lot of work in. They've probably lived and breathed this for 7 years and had 10 heart attacks worrying about all the things that I could tell you that have gone wrong. It's not all smooth sailing. There's things that happen, but they've done it. They're so successful. And it is possible, and they're not the only ones. There are quite a lot of people like that, but there's also a lot of people who just don't have the willpower to stick with it and and push through, because some days you just think, and I've said it, I'm over Amazon. I've had enough of this today. I can't do, they'll just do something that you just think, give me a break, leave me alone. So I think, so I think, you've got to just then go, okay, well, I'll just move forward and I'll do something else. So, yeah.
Right. So this is a question from Eva. Thank you so much for these heartfelt advice. Love your passion. Any advice? How much average time is needed? Investment for first 9 months of startup per day.
Time.
Okay, I guess she's asking how much time does she need to invest in the beginning? I mean,
it's how long is a piece of string? It depends. If you haven't done any course whatsoever, you could probably spend 3 or 4 hours a night just going through a course like the Freedom Ticket. It's not a 5-minute course, and you'll need to go over it and research and learn. So, I would say, be prepared to spend probably 4 or 5 hours a day for the first 12 months on your business, after, if you're working as well, because there's always something. And the less time you put in it, the less successful you're going to be. If you just potter along and think, I'll do that next week, I can't be bothered doing that, you're not going to be successful. You need to work, have a schedule, have a plan, and move to step by step. And what I find, like when we started out, you sort of think, right, I've got to find a product. So find the product. What do we do next? Okay, we need to find a supplier. So don't have a big picture and try and do it all in 9 months. I think the best way is to go step by step. So you found your supplier, so then we'll get the product organised, then move on to writing your listing. So break it down into like a 2-month or a monthly learning, because otherwise it's just, you'll do your head in, I think, trying to take it on. And don't think about PPC except allow a lot of money in your costings for it, because it's going to cost you a lot of money. And look, people who I should go back on this, because you don't know if you don't sell on Amazon, that it's pay-per-click. So what it means is, if you're looking through on Amazon and you see a sponsored ad, if somebody clicks on that, it can cost, depending on the product, it might only be 50 cents. If it's a supplement or something, it can be $4.50, $5. Even some of the home goods at the moment, I've heard people saying they're paying $2.80 a click. And you might get, if you have a budget set of $100, you might get 10 people click it in 5 minutes. It just goes, it's click, 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 click. It's just like putting the money in the pokies. That's why I call it the casino. So really that advertising. So it doesn't mean to say when people click it, they're going to buy it. You don't get a one-on-one click rate. You might get 1 in 100 buy. It depends on your product, depends on a lot of things. So, yeah, you need quite a bit of money to allow for people. The good bits is the money that keeps
Margaret,
you up.
can you guess who this is? Guess who this is? I went in the group and checked.
Who is it?
Darren. And he says it's 9 years. He's been doing it for 9 years, not 7.
Very good.
So there, keep at it. So persistence is so important, and patience is so important in this business, right?
Definitely is.
Thanks a lot, Darren, for joining us and for commenting. Really appreciate it. We really want you on one of the webinars soon to share your insight. I'm saying it publicly now.
You'll be trying hard.
Yes, I've been trying hard. I've sent him a couple of requests, but been rejected.
So yeah, but look, I think people don't not do it, but give it a bit of thought before you start parting out with money to set up all the company structure and all your bits and pieces. So I think that's the biggest thing is decide if it's for you before you go too far ahead, and just don't get sold on these courses that are selling the dream. And I think that's and that's the reason why I'm doing this, is just to make people understand that it is hard work. It doesn't happen overnight. And I mean, if you ask Darren how many hours he's put in on Amazon in his 9 years, I mean, he lives and breathes it. So it does become your life. But once again, it's a good life because you can travel, you can do whatever you like while you're doing it. You can do it by the pool. I mean, Darren and Michelle will sit at Bali and be doing their Amazon business. Hey, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're still working and you're still making money. So if you can get yourself into a position where you can get a few products, and look, you don't have to be selling millions of dollars. It depends what you want out of life. If you just want to top up your retirement fund, or you want, some extra money, you don't have to do it full time, but I would hate to be doing it, working a full-time job and doing, a few products on Amazon, because I think it's going to take over your life. You're not going to have a life, especially if you've got a family as well. So, you've got to decide at what point you want to, I suppose, move forward and take it on as a job. But, it's everyone has a different goal in life, and everyone wants something different. But it's possible to succeed, and there's plenty of people out there that have done very well, but there's also a lot that have failed. So you've got to be keen, and I think you've got to want to do it, and you've got to be driven. That's probably it.
Very, very well said. Okay, so let's start wrapping up over here. Any final questions for Marg over here? I'm also going to just show Margaret's email address in case anyone's interested in reaching out to her. She does do one-on-one coaching. So it's margaret@indiasourcingtrip.com. Or you can, of course, just reach out to her in the Facebook group. And look who's here now. Look, hi, Kevin. Good morning. Did you just wake up? Your computer's been giving you trouble today.
It looks much clearer.
Just reach out to her in the Facebook group. And look who's here now. He's been watching us, yeah. So, whose advice is? So this is
Darren.
Bill.
Oh,
no, this is Bill. Yeah, you just have to get your hands dirty, give it a go, and learn. Yes, absolutely. And that's what Bill and Mary have done, right? I mean, they have full-time jobs, and they still came on the trip with us, and they've got their products launched as well. So yeah,
and they're doing quite well. This
is Darren. This is Darren asking golf. Kev, if he's finished golf. Yeah, that was very informative. You're welcome. Cool. Okay, so anything else that you want to add, Mark?
No, look, I don't think so. I just think, give it some thought and be prepared to roll with the punches, and, jump up, and when something goes wrong, you've got to pick up the pieces and go again. And I think that, because things will go wrong. It's not just, this beautiful, floating blue sea out there on a yacht and it goes smoothly forever. There are so many pitfalls and things that happen over the time. But, you've just got to work your way through them and move forward. And it's no different to anything else. I'm sure, every business has its struggles. So, it's no different. But it is a business. That's what I keep saying to people. It's not a hobby. It's a business. If you commit to this, you've gone into business. So you've got to be a businessman or woman at that point.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about this e-commerce and Amazon FBA business is also the communities that people have, created. So our community, for example, I think, everyone's very supportive. If you have a question, if you get stuck somewhere, you can always just post a question in the group, and Marg and me and others are ready to help and support you guys, especially the newbies, at any time. So I think this is something that's very unique. You don't really find this in other businesses. So definitely take advantage of all of the communities that there are around Amazon FBA. Okay, so I think that's it, Mark. So yeah, this was a really good session. Got a bad connection today, guys. So sorry, but the girls have done a wonderful job. This is Kevin, I'm sure. That was Kevin. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you around. Bye.